time's
Time
expired.
gentleman expired. Senator Casey.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner, great to be with you, and congratulations on a successful filing season, and thanks for being here today. I'm pleased that the IRS continues to use the money appropriated in the Inflation Reduction Act to improve taxpayer services, and with call wait times down to 3 minutes after being up to 28 minutes just 2 years ago, and more filing options available than ever before. I'm also pleased you announced an increase in audits of large, complex partnerships with more than 10 billion in assets, and that you'll pursue the 25,000 millionaires who neglected to file their taxes since 2017, a much bigger number when you lower that below $1 million. So here's my first question. Can you explain what the IRS is doing with this new funding to ensure that billion-dollar companies and millionaires or higher pay what they owe, just like middle-class Americans have to?
I appreciate the question, especially because I just want to close out my response from Senator Barrasso. My marching orders are to make sure that Inflation Reduction Act funds are exclusively used on enforcement of high wealth, complex organizations, large partnerships, large corporations, and that's where our focus is. If you're a mom and pop, middle or low income, there is no new wave of audits coming under the Inflation Reduction Act. The audit rate you had the day before the Inflation Reduction Act, which was historically low, is the same audit rate you had the day after, and the same audit rate you'll have today, and the same audit rate into the future. So again, no new wave of audits. We have a lot of work to do to deal with the complexity that exists in the U.S. economy today and how large corporations, complex partnerships, and very wealthy individuals are shielding income. Many aren't. Many are playing by the rules. And I like to say that our focus on high wealth and large businesses benefits high wealth and large businesses because if you're the CFO of a major corporation and you're playing by the rules, you want the other company that you might be competing with to also play by the rules. You want the IRS to be able to know which case to select for audit. By having the right funding, we can be more precise. Those that are playing by the rules will never have to hear from us if we are smarter, more technical, and more competent in this complexity. And that CFO that's playing by the rules will also have the comfort of knowing we're not selecting them for audit, but we are selecting those in their industry that maybe not be playing by the rules. And that's going to create fairer competition. And so this is really about an IRS that can do its job and enforce the code fairly and equitably. And if we don't have the resources to be able to spot and deal with the complexity we're seeing, then the system starts to degrade.
Thanks very much. Commissioner, you might be aware that in February of 2023, a Norfolk Southern train carrying hazardous materials derailed in East Palestine, Ohio, more than, or very close to the Pennsylvania border, just feet away from Pennsylvania. The township is Darlington Township in Pennsylvania. To avoid toxic exposure from the crash and the burning of the leaked toxic materials, thousands of people in Ohio and hundreds in Pennsylvania had to flee their homes. Norfolk Southern later provided some reimbursements for the family's hardship. Senator Brown and I have been working to make sure the victims of this disaster are not taxed on these reimbursements that they got from Norfolk Southern. I hope we can deliver on this tax assistance to the victims by passing the Wyden-Smith bipartisan tax bill. But if not, if that doesn't happen, I hope that you and Secretary Yellen will use your authority to declare that this was a catastrophic disaster and that related payments are exempt from tax. Can you assure us that you'll do everything in your power to deliver tax relief to Norfolk Southern derailment victims?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is one of those spots, and we've talked a lot today about IRS authorities. I've mentioned on many occasions that I think one of my fundamental responsibilities as commissioner is to implement the tax code in a way that protects taxpayer Bill of Rights. I was just kind of reviewing, it's actually section 7803A3, which requires me to implement the tax laws consistent with a delineated set of taxpayer bill of rights. And I think that's one of the most important provisions that I have as commissioner. And this is a moment where you basically look for opportunities to protect taxpayers because you have this taxpayer bill of rights that is that balancing against what might be a part of the tax code that has this unintended consequence of placing undue burden or not really understanding the situation. I think the Wyden-Smith bill on disasters is going to be enormously helpful, but in the meantime, we're rolling up our sleeves to find a solution for the residents of East Palestine.
Thanks very much.
Time of the gentleman's expired. Senator Menendez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.